live, we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics. Ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat. Period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck.
Hey guys, what's up? Somebody give me a 5 for 5, and yeah, we'll get going. Before we get going anywhere, obviously I'm not Tommy. Tommy's dealing with his mom is under the weather right now. So he's prayers for him and her, and yeah. So that's where Tommy's at, guys. So with that being said, I didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare for tonight, but this is a subject that, I think that if there's any subject I could probably talk at and not really have to have any kind of notes or anything, this is probably it. It's a pretty substantial subject, and it's something that anybody that's been in addiction, or if anybody has ever had a family member go through addiction, is going to relate to basically what I'm talking about tonight. So, just kind of, it's going to touch everybody. I mean, guys, it really does. So, anyway, why I said that is, I'm going to try to pay a little bit more attention to the chat tonight, because I do think that, if you guys got questions or whatever, please put them in there, and I will definitely, try to address that. And because this is one thing that, like I said, it touches everybody, but it doesn't get talked about enough. This is not your typical family issue. Okay, it's became a typical family issue, but for most of us, none of us grew up talking about this kind of thing inside of our own family. Back when I was a kid, it was kind of foobar to even talk about it anyway. But yeah, prayers for Mama Scoville for sure, Chris. Appreciate you, man. And anybody else that's in here, guys, please, hey, Nicole, good to see you. Joanne, Miss V, Major, good to see you. Joanna, good to see you. Space Jeezy, 7th, Virginia. I'll say hi to everybody real quick. And go run my chat back up to the top here. Good to see you, Leisure. Let's see here what we got. Charlie, what's up? Okay. All right. So, and again, I know that this is kind of a broad subject because it has to be. Because it is broad. It just is. It's just what it is. So, guys, everybody deals with this different, especially with their family. You really got to look at this, again, like we say a lot, in the individual kinds of situations. Everybody's family dynamic is different. Everybody's brought up a different way. And because of that, the way things get handled are different. And at the end of the day, you got to have your goal, right? What's the goal for you and your addiction or their addiction? If anybody's listening to me from the other side of this, you know that when your family member is going through an addiction, so are you. You're having to deal with that too. And that's something I didn't realize at first when I first got into recovery. And as I watched my family, just rally around me, I realized really, really quick that it was affecting them just as much, if not more, than what it was me. Especially when you got kids. Hey, ugly hobo, how you doing? When you got kids and stuff, it does complicate things. And, obviously none of us would change that. At least most of us wouldn't. But again, I have to say this again. It's all individual. You have to really get to know, your whole family dynamic in a pretty intimate way to be able to handle what gets thrown at you during such a difficult time for people. And it is. It's difficult. And what I will say to that, though, is, it is difficult, but it gets better. If both sides of this are really, if they truly love each other and they're really trying to make it work, they can make it work. Don't think that you can't make it work. That is a misconception. There's going to be a lot of people out there that say, oh, he did this or she did that in addiction and she did this bad thing, this and bad thing that. What they leave out is that wasn't you. That was you under the influence of a chemical. That's what that was. That is not you. And you got to understand that. And it's hard to get your family to understand it, especially if they've never been through anything like that. Now, I get a lot of questions here on how do we tell or how do we get our family to relate to what we're going through? Well, one of the easiest ways, guys, for me that I found, especially like in your extended family, if people start talking about it, in addiction, like addiction is something that only happens to people that get into all these hard drugs and this, that, and the other. Well, it doesn't. We've talked about this too. Addiction is everything. Honestly, you can be addicted to anything. And one of the main ones you can go to that would probably touch everybody is caffeine. If your family doesn't understand you and doesn't understand at all where you're coming from, and they're being, I don't know, and rightfully so, guys, they shouldn't have to be dealing with this, but they are, right? So you got to have some leniency there and some time to provide a cushion of, basically, you're going to have to lay down and let them stomp on you for a minute. And I don't mean, I guess maybe that's a little too rough, but what I'm saying is you're going to have to let them say what they need to say. And because if you don't let them do that, especially at the beginning, they're always going to have that. They're always going to wonder, man, I really wish I could have got this off my chest. So, you're going to have to open up and let them do what they need to do. Now, I'm not saying open up to the point where it's going to damage you and cause you to go back to doing what you were doing. Okay? That's too far. What I'm saying is at that moment, when you start getting your moment of clarity going on, and they're asking you why, how did you do this, and did this happen, I don't understand how you could get addicted to anything. I'm not addicted to nothing. That actually came out of one of my family members' mouth. and the first thing I said was, do you drink coffee? Quit drinking coffee for 2 days, and then we'll have another discussion. And this person actually did that. And they actually came back and was like, hey, I did. I got headaches and all that stuff, right? Having problems sleeping. I mean, it just wasn't. And at that point, it ain't like relating it to, opiates, right? But it does let people understand that you can become addicted to something. And when you're under the influence of stuff like that, it ain't necessarily you. Because when, like with the caffeine, if you get a headache, you're not yourself, right? you don't feel good. So, it really helped for people like that come at you like that. Don't be mean. Don't be mad. Don't snap at them, because it's not going to be good. It won't be good. Like I said, I'm not telling you just to lay down and just take all of it. Okay, if you have to walk away for a while, go ahead, but allow them to get their feelings out. And everybody has their own time frame for that. Sometimes it's at like the day of. Sometimes it's a week later. Sometimes it's a month later. Now, I wouldn't push it off too far, because then you're getting into the territory where you're starting to, beat this. You're starting to gain some momentum, and then you're going to have to go backwards to rehash some old feelings that they had. And it yanks you back a minute. So make sure that you're doing these kinds of things in a good time frame. And again, guys, this is one of the hardest, but it's one of the most broad subjects. And I'm talking like extended family here. And also, you could use smoking. A lot of people smoke. A lot of people know how hard that is to quit. But because it's legal, because it's just accepted in our society, people don't relate that to like an opiate addiction or a methamphetamine, crystal meth, or alcohol, or anything like that. Alcohol actually kind of gets thrown a little bit in with the cigarette thing, because it's legal too. It's accepted in society. It just is. In most societies anyway. And, that complicates things, especially with the alcohol end of it. It complicates it a lot. You can't get away from it. Everywhere you look, it's going to be there. So people that are fighting alcoholism, that's one of the battles that they fight, that not necessarily a person like myself that had an opiate addiction fight. Because, like I said, it's everywhere. I couldn't go to the gas station without seeing a case of beer. I couldn't go to, heck, when I go pick up my opiates at the pharmacy. What's at the pharmacy? Beer, liquor. I mean, it's a, if you really sit down and you look at it, it's counterintuitive. I mean, it shouldn't be there, but it is. There's absolutely nothing we can do to change that, because it's one of those societal changes that I don't think will ever happen. Look what happened back in the 40s or earlier than that, really, during Prohibition. And, that's how we ended up with dry counties and stuff like that. You remember the uproar of that. I mean, that was a big deal. Still is. And heck, they do like reality shows on these guys making moonshine and stuff out in the woods. So, I mean, what I'm saying is it's an accepted thing, and because of all the stuff that we've all been through, you're never going to get away from that particular substance. It's just not. But what I said about the smoking, it's a great way to get somebody to understand what you're going through. Okay, because they're gonna have to extend you out some understanding, just like you're gonna have to extend them out an olive branch to the point where you're gonna let them say what they need to say. Okay, and I get at the beginning, it's hard to hear a lot of the things that your family are saying to you. It really is. It's hard to hear it. But I promise you, it's worth taking the time to do it. Okay? It really is. It's worth that. If you want to get to back to any kind of normalcy or anything like that, you're going to have to go through that little bit of a bump. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be you're probably going to hear things that are some of the hardest things that you're going to have to hear ever in your life. Because they're going to be talking to you as if, you were still in that life, because in their mind, you still kind of are. And some of the things that you did during those times are horrible. They're horrible, right? And back when you were doing that kind of stuff, you weren't going to hear it, right? You might have listened to it. You might have had them scream and yell, lots of fighting and all that kind of stuff. But it's not the same. Now you're sitting down, you're looking at them across, if you're sitting at a table, looking across the table at them, now they're saying everything that they want to say, that they need to say, and frankly, that you need to hear. Because they're going to say things that you didn't even think you did, but you did. Okay? So, and at this point, you're going to realize how far you were in. And like I said before, guys, everybody deals with this different. But what I can say is that I don't think it's healthy to wait 2 years to have these kinds of conversations. And again, that's just my opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you from my own life experience. And, I guess what I'm saying is we've all heard take 2 steps forward, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back, right? Again, another cliche, but it's a perfect cliche for this. Because you're starting to step forward with your recovery, and then all of a sudden, you didn't talk about this at the beginning, so now you're going to have to walk it back. And walk it back to a place that you don't want to go back to. Because now it's forcing you to think about stuff again. So don't wait too long. And sometimes for some people, you can't do it like really, really early, like within a day or two. But for me, I found that if I waited more, 3 or 4 weeks and then talked about it again and brought up a subject, hey, I remember I did this when I was in my addiction. How'd that make you feel? Right? And one thing I would say there, don't ask a question that you don't want to know the answer to. Okay? Because if you're going to ask them how they feel, you're going to have to allow them to tell you how they feel without getting upset. Because a lot of those things, they're going to look at you and they're going to be like, you did this, you jerk, and all these kinds of things. Right? So if you don't want to know the answer to something, don't ask it. Just don't ask it. Now, there's some things that we have to ask to get to the next point, and that's what I was trying to say. If you want to go through any of that stuff, it's best to do it at the beginning. It really is. Because then you can start going 1 step forward and not have to go 2 steps back. You could go 1 step forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and eventually you're gaining ground. Okay? And it is a slow process. Very slow for a lot of people, and it's very slow for me. It's very slow for anybody, really. We're trying to heal our relationships with people that we love. And when we're talking about our kids, that adds in such a dynamic there that, because you're going to hear things that you did that you never even thought that you did. And in my situation, I had teenagers, right? I had teenagers, and my daughter, she was young. She was 5 when I got help. But I had, my son, okay? Especially my oldest. That's one of my biggest regrets, to be honest with you. And because I always prided myself on telling the truth and all that stuff. And when you become addicted and when you get controlled like that, you become one of the biggest liars on the planet. And if not the biggest, because you're going to lie and say and do and this and that, and you'll find yourself lying just to get you through the next 5 minutes. Okay, that's what happens, because your addiction isn't allowing you to think any further ahead, because you're constantly on the chase. You're constantly doing this. You're constantly doing that. For what reason? So you don't have to feel sick. That's why. It's selfish. It's selfishness, and at some point, it becomes one of those things that you just don't even see as selfish. You just see it as part of your life. And, again, the selfishness and the lying and all that stuff, your family, don't think your family is ignorant to the fact that when you say things that they can't see right through you. Because they do. It's just they know if they address it, it's going to be a big deal. right? Especially your kids. Your kids are looking up to you. And like I said, in my situation, my oldest was 17. And yeah, I mean, that's a hard thing for me, guys. I mean, I still struggle with that. I mean, he was my buddy. I mean, honestly, he was my sidekick, and that's why it was hard. You know, he turned me into a man. Just to be honest, I got married when I was 18, and we had him when I was 20. And I tell you, my life had never been better. To be honest with you, I mean, I would go out and work on my truck and stuff, and he would come with me. 1, 2 years old, he would want to get in the back of the bed with a screwdriver trying to fix rust spots, but he wanted to be with me, right? And as he got older, and then I had my middle son, same thing. Um, when, and I remember this too. When my wife got pregnant with my second one, I struggled a little bit because I loved my first son so much that I couldn't see having to split that love up, right? In my mind at the time, I was like, we're going to have a second one. Now I'm going to have to, love, because I know, I mean, obviously I was going to love you no matter what, but I'm going to have to split that in half, right? That was in my mind. Well, that ain't what happens. And that's something I had to learn as a parent. What happened was the same love still stayed for my first son, but it just doubled with my second. And then even more with my third. Okay? So anybody out there struggling with that kind of a mind thought, just know you're not splitting your love in half. You're not. You're growing your whole ability to love somebody. And it's amazing. It's one of the best. Like I said, my youngest or my oldest, sorry, turned me into a man. It really did. Before that, I was responsible. I had a job, never without a job, all that kind of thing. I was married to my wife when I was 18. We lived in an apartment. We lived in an apartment when she got pregnant, and we moved into a mobile home for about 3 years. We bought that, and then we sold it for what we paid for it, believe it or not. And I bought the house I'm living in now. We have been here for 22 years. And it's amazing when you look back at stuff like that. And I say all this because these are all positive things that happen even through my addiction. Okay? So I know when we look at addiction that we always go to the negative stuff that we did because we have to address it so we can move past it. But don't fool yourself into thinking that you still didn't love your family, because you did. Just because you didn't do what you were supposed to doesn't mean you didn't love them. All it meant was your mind was not thinking the right way. It just wasn't. And you probably, if you're like me, did some really bad things to your family. And this is why I say you have to talk about this at the beginning. And, somewhere close. And again, the time frame is different for everybody. I understand people trying to internalize and they're, but what that does, guys, it just builds up. It builds up and builds up. And then finally, you're going to find yourself, even in recovery, all those thoughts and feelings and stuff can actually push you back to your addiction. Okay? Because you're going to start feeling bad about yourself. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want that stuff just to boom all over, right? It's going to just pile on. And it will. It'll pile on. You'll take something that was so small, a situation that happened 15 years ago, and because you didn't talk about it at the beginning, it's still in there picking at you. Right? And what's it do? It's like a splinter. When you get a splinter in your hand, what happens? If you don't take it out, it starts swelling. Then the next thing you know, it's infected. Then the next thing you know, you're at the doctor having to have this stupid thing cut out. Right? Same thing happens with our feelings. It sits inside, it festers up, becomes an infection in our mind thought, and then we can't do what we're supposed to. And it pushes you right back to your addiction. So, what I'm saying is, Again, everybody's time frame is different. Everybody's road is a little different. But the general goal is the same for all of us. It's to get to the next day sober. Okay? And when we talk about subjects like this, these are all tools and things that we can just throw in our tool belt. And when situations happen, bam. And let me say this too. The relationships you had prior to your addiction with your family. And I'm talking about family that doesn't necessarily that had any kind of addiction problem themselves. Those relationships, once you make it, just like anything else that happens in your life within your family, once you make it past that, it actually makes you stronger. Your relationship gets so much stronger. You know, before my addiction, I never once said that my wife was my best friend. Because in my mind, you know, I got best friends outside the house, right? You know, Tommy's my brother, and, you know, so yeah, best friend, right up there, even higher than that, right? Well, I got a guy that he just lost his son, and he's my best friend. And so is another guy. I'm not saying names because I don't know if they want me to say their names out here, but we're like the three amigos, the three musketeers, or whatever. We're just like a really tight group of guys. I mean, even before, I mean, we we tell each other we love each other when we get off the phone. We're not related at all, period. But just like me and Tommy say, you can choose your family. You can't choose your blood family, but you can choose the family that you want to be around. And that's the honest truth. But, you know, guys, those kinds of things is what you got to grab a hold of. Your best friends, you got, you know, my wife was, you know, she became my best friend because of what she did for me. Not only was she a wife and an awesome mother, but she became the person that I went to first. And I know that some people, when they get married, they automatically think that, yeah, you go to your wife first. Well, more times than not, that ain't what happens. Okay? Because we don't want to disappoint our wife, right? And when we're talking about addiction, that's one of the most disappointing things that could ever be said to your spouse. Okay? Yeah, it doesn't get much worse than that. But to see how she handled that with me, it showed me that, man, because I really thought that we were going to be done. I honestly did. But it was not the case at all. It was the reverse. Instead of running away from me, you know what she did? She ran to me and wrapped herself around me. And it was awesome. I never would have made it. Never, not one time. Never would have ever made that. Never. But that was me. And I get that a lot of people don't have that. Right? And I say this often, that I honestly do. I feel bad for people that don't have that kind of a support system. Because my family did. My family turned into that one big gigantic shield for me. And like I said, my wife was at the front with a sword just fending all of it off. I mean, honestly. And even to other family members, she would do that for me. So that's what I'm trying to say. And I do feel bad for people that don't. But listen, you can still have that. Right? Like I said a minute ago, you choose your family. You can choose your family. Well, what we're saying when we say that is, you can choose who you trust the most. You can choose who you want to be around. You can choose who you want to listen to. That's family. You can choose who you're always going to be there for them. You can choose. These are all choices. I got people that aren't blood that I'm closer to, way closer to, than people that I share DNA with. So just understand that. Because if it, I know we're not wired to think that way, right? You know, we've always heard that saying, blood is thicker than water. Guys, you know, in some cases, yes, but not in all. It's not. I've had people that were my blood just turn completely away from me, and people that weren't, like I said, run towards me when it was bad times. So I don't buy into that one. That's a cliche I don't like. I don't like that one. And again, it's just me. You know, and I know what's meant by blood is thicker than water. You know, when it comes down to it, people that are related to you are supposed to be there no matter what. Well, I can tell you this, that's not the case. Not always. I've experienced both sides of that. Both sides of that, I've been here and seen it. Okay? But you don't want to ignore your blood family either, even if they're treating you like that. Okay? Because and let me say this, guys, you will regret those kinds of things at the end of the day. You know, it may take you a while to regret it, but you're going to look back at some point in your life and you're going to be like, man, I wish I hadn't done that. Or man, I wish I hadn't said that. And, you know, we fight that as addicts. And this becomes a subject for us because, you know, we talk about guilt and regret. And if we dwell on that in recovery, we won't be in recovery much longer. I promise. You're going to go right back because you're going to be like, well, I screwed it up back then. What the heck is it? You know, now I'm just going to go here and get myself to feel better. But always remember that little feeling better is temporary and it's fake. It is. It's fake. Anything you're getting, if you're being pushed that way by a chemical, that's fake. It's fake. I'm talking like happiness, like these, you know, that you get with euphoria, right? I'm not talking about like, you know, mental health drugs and stuff like that people need, or medicated assisted treatment, you know, Suboxone. I'm on Suboxone, but all it does is and I know people that have never had an addiction don't understand this, but I've never ever once gotten high off of Suboxone. And all it does is, and this, you know, because I struggled with that whole mindset of, did I trade one drug for another and this and that? And we talked about that at nauseum here, right? And I'm not going to go into that tonight, but when I had to wrap my brain around being on something for an extended period of time, I had to have somebody finally, like years into my recovery, explain it to where I could really grab a hold of it. And this person says to me, he says, hey, listen, and I was at a treatment facility. He's like, listen, when you come in here, it's like your tank is half empty. And when you leave, you're just normal. You're level. You're not high. You're not over full. After you dose, you're just getting to level. That's all you're doing. And that one statement changed my whole outlook and my whole just bam. I mean, it really got me focused into what I needed to do to get my mind back to where it was somewhat before I got addicted. And I would argue the fact now that my mind is stronger, way stronger than what it was before I got addicted. Because of all this, I've had to dive into this and really research it and really get into, you know, the ins and outs of what's going on. And you've heard us all talk, guys. I mean, any other shows that you've seen, you think that me and Tommy went to school for any of that? No. It's life lessons. It's stuff that we've taken seriously in our own lives, and we go research it, we go look at it, and because of this, right? Everybody can do it. And I would say to those people that sit back, and I say this on my other channel a lot, my Space Weather channel, don't ever think that you're, and I'm going to use some, bad terms here, that you're dumb. Okay? You're not. You're smart enough to understand everything. So don't dive into something thinking that you can't understand it. And if there ever is a time that you run into something like that, you really just can't understand it. There's a whole crew of people right here, including myself and Tommy included, that can at least lend you an ear and lend you what we think that means. We are here to help. We are here for all of that. This is the family that we choose. Hey, Trash. Hey, Seventh. Hey, Mental. Ugly Hobo. What's up? Stacy, Major, Miss V, Michelle. Good to see everybody. But listen. Hey, Joanne. What's up? Jacqueline in here too? Hey, Jacqueline. Yeah. I didn't see Jacqueline. I'm not scrolling up, but if she's in there, hey, Jacqueline, good to see you. I'm not sure if Pamela's in here or not. Major, good to see you. If I've already said hi, I apologize, guys. Sorry I have to look over. My other computer's over there. Hey, Charlie. That's right, Charlie. Right on, brother. No judgment here. We share, care, and love. Your family when you walk through the door. I promise. There's not ever not been a case of that. Right? So we love our family. We love each other here, and that's what we do. But you know what else we do here? Just like a family should? We hold each other accountable. And that doesn't typically happen. Hey, Leisure, what's up, man? It doesn't happen on air and all that kind of stuff. When we're talking behind the scenes, or sometimes it happens right here. Hey, Nicole. Sometimes it happens right here. But for the most part, when it's serious stuff, we'll hold each other accountable. We do. At least we'll ask each other, are you getting ready to go use? Are you this? Are you that? We will ask each other the hard questions. And that's what family does. Even if we don't think that person is going to give us a not so nice answer. Okay? And those are hard conversations. But that's what family does, right? Ain't that what we do? Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I mean, even if you want to consider people just friends should be doing that too. Sorry, guys. A little cotton mouth. But yeah. And again, guys, I know that this is a broad subject, and I know I probably just touched on so many things right there that we could probably do a show on each individual sentence. Okay? And that is the truth. And I'm just trying to touch on a broad thing here because obviously situations happen and we had to kind of just do what we do, right? Tommy did try to get a hold of me a little earlier. My phone was in my house and we were outside and I was busy, and it was 2 hours later when I got back to my phone. So it ain't him and it ain't me. It's just situations, guys. So just so you know that he's doing what he needs to do. He's taking care of his mama, and that's exactly what needs to be happening. So just so you know, prayers for her and him, all of that, guys. All right. Anybody else out there that's sick, guys? I mean, and I know we're not a religious channel, but we pray. That's what we say here. I'm not going to deny my beliefs, and I'm not going to tell you have to believe the way I believe. But that's what I do. I pray. Some people love and light and all that, right? And we encourage anything positive. So that's why. And yeah. So you guys got anything? You guys have any issues with your family that maybe I might be able to help? I don't know, or give you a little bit of life that I went through. So you're over 2 years now. I have been off the patch. More pain, but more sanity. Okay. Mental, was that a fentanyl patch, a nicotine patch? I'm sorry, I know I'm kind of behind here. I apologize for that. Yeah, prayers. For sure. Positivity breeds positivity, 100%. Hey, Michelle. I like rain too, just so you know. Some people can't handle rain all the time. I wouldn't want it all the time, but I do like a few days of rain because I don't know. Guys, you know what it does? It actually changes the ionization in the air. Do you know that? And, fentanyl? Okay. That's what I thought, mental. I didn't want to, like, assume. But, yeah, that's definitely something that's a hard thing, guys. Anybody that has never, ever been through that, fentanyl, and we've been talking about fentanyl a lot, because that is now, we'll probably be showing it to you before too long, but that, heroin is, listen, guys, trying to find heroin right now, from everything I've been watching and doing and listening to, is hard. Everything's went straight to fentanyl. I mean, yeah, there ain't no cat in the basket today. Not today, Major. I'll see, what do I got? Well, you know what you're going to get today? Here, I'll show you. You're going to get Darth Vader. You're going to get cards inside of Darth Vader. How about that? That's a deck of cards, guys. You guys can see that or not. There's a glare there. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm a Star Wars freak. Okay, sorry. Hey, Yvonne, good to see you. But yeah, that's what you guys are going to get today. You're going to get Darth Vader. Oh, I got this too. I'll show this to you. This is pretty cool. Hey, Dr. Plass, what's going on? Check this out. This is R2-D2. See him changing colors? Here, I'll put him over here so you guys get a better look at that. Oop, a little glare there, but he'll change colors. I can make it brighter, all that stuff. I can make it cycle. But it actually, this thing right here, just comes off. Right? It's just a base. And I got like a Millennium Falcon, an X-Wing fighter, and a Yoda. You just put it on there. It's pretty cool. But that's what you guys are going to get tonight. I don't have a cat. So, but we miss Squirrel. We miss Tommy too, right? I mean, yeah, 100%. Seen in the news, there were some kids in Ohio that tried to perk for the first time ever. Both died. Yes. Yes, that's 100% true. Guys, let me tell you something. It is more dangerous today than it has ever been for our kids in the drug issue. Okay? And I'm not going to sit up here and just like throw a bunch of crap at you, because that's not what we do. Because we're just going to talk about it. We understand that when kids are of a certain age, they're going to get curious, right? So what's better? To sit back, shut up, and just hope? Or should you have a hard conversation with your kids and let them know? Be honest with them. They can handle more than what you think they can. And I said this before. You're not here to be their friend. Your job is to be a parent. Your job, if you are a friend, is to be a friend and be honest. If you're an uncle, your job, or an aunt, is to be that. Your job isn't to avoid hard conversations because it might upset the kid. No. It's not. That ain't what you should do. Now, if they're your kids, it's a lot easier to handle because people expect you to talk to your kids. If they're not your kids, I would suggest going through the right channel. Don't just overstep your bounds, because then you're going to start making problems. Okay? Go to their parents, say, hey, are you having a hard time talking to them about this? I can come talk with you, and we can kind of handle this together. And let me say this too, guys. These kinds of conversations are best had way before they ever try anything. Okay? So it's one of those things where you're being proactive and not reactive. Because if you're talking about it in a reactive stance, they've already done it. Right? So now they know how it feels. Now they know this, now they know that. But today, our kids cannot be curious anymore. I hate to say it like that. But right now on the street, we cannot allow our kids just to be curious at a whim. We have to tell them. Now, listen, we're not going to be able to stop everything, guys. And that's a hard thing for a parent to accept, but it's true. So the best thing that we can do as parents, and this is just my life experience, okay? I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a counselor, none of that. Okay? The disclaimer says all that at the beginning. But I'm not saying that for that reason. I'm saying that because I am not that. I'm just a parent, and I know that what has worked for me, and I'm sharing that. But you have to go at them and tell them, listen, even if you got to bring stuff up, like on a computer, and show it to them. Cell phone, guys. I mean, you could show them everything you're talking about. Kids learn really, really good with visual aid. Like that case that Michelle's talking about. 2 kids died because they thought they were taking a Percocet, and it was fentanyl. All right? So what's better? To not upset your kids or to put them in the ground? What's better? Just ask yourself that one question. Because that's what's happening all over the place right now. And it's not just with the pills, okay? They are lacing weed with this stuff. Some of the most, I guess, I don't like using the word harmless because I think anything that we do like that harms us at some level, okay? At least takes us out of who we are for a minute and all that. But that's just my opinion. I'm not going to get into that. But the fact of the matter is that weed typically is probably, weed and alcohol is is the 2 first things, or cigarettes or something like that the kids are going to try first, right? I mean, I think we can all agree to that. And it used to, we didn't have to worry about the weed too much because it was THC and you don't overdose on that stuff, right? Well, now they're putting fentanyl on it. Why are they doing that? Well, there's a whole lot of reasons that, Tommy actually talked about this. And it definitely is something that we can't ignore. We have to pay attention to that. We have to let our kids know, hey, listen, if you're going to get curious, this is what's happening right now, and show them pictures. You can go on the internet right now, and I can show it to you here, and I'm not going to, and we might at a later day, because me and Tommy have been talking about it. We're going to show you guys some pictures and stuff of some people that have overdosed with their kids in the back seat. All you got to do is Google it. It's there. It's not hard to find. I promise you that. And why it's becoming an issue now is because now it's not just getting those people, the parents, it's getting the kids. And they didn't even they didn't even go out looking for fentanyl. They went out looking for weed. Okay, we had 5 kids pass away in the northern part of my state in Indiana that got a bag of weed. None of them were drug addicts, none of that stuff. All of them died. And I'm just being 100 with you here. I tell you what I could do. Let me show you this as we're talking about that. Okay, yeah, I'll just do that. Let's show that. You guys see those pictures right there? Actually, I'm going to blow this one up for a minute. Okay, wrong one. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. You see that? For anybody that doesn't know what that is, that's a penny. You see that little white stuff next to it? That is enough fentanyl to kill a human being. A person that is not on drugs, that little amount will kill you. Okay? So, what I'm saying, you show your kids these kinds of images, and at least they're going to have it in their head that, man, I got to be careful. You know, we can't save somebody if they're not here. We can't influence them in the positive way if they're not here. Okay? And that's why we hammer this home. We really hammer this home for this reason. And Tommy talked about what, you know, that little bit of white there. Some people think that that's Carfentanil. It is not. That is the fentanyl that's on the street. Carfentanil, you would be like a grain of salt sitting on that penny. You know what they use, and I know probably most people have seen this, but they use this stuff to anesthetize elephants. Elephants! That's what carfentanil is used for. Right? So, wrap that around your brain. You know, they're putting elephants down with this, but everybody's standing in line to get it. Do you see an issue with that? Say that to your kids. Those kinds of shocking statements will hammer it home. I promise. It will hammer that point home. And at the end of the day, guys, again, I have to say this. Don't not say something that you need to say. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to get mad at you for a week, go in their room, and do what? Play Xbox, right? Okay, so what? What's any different than any other day, right? You see my point? So please understand that. And that's why we talk about it like this. Now, I'm going to transfer that back over to that. Now, at the top, guys, that's Narcan. Okay? Anybody that's never seen what Narcan is, that's what it looks like. I'll tell you what I could do with that. I could do the same thing. So I want you guys to get a good look at this, because I think, and this is just my opinion, that everybody on the planet should have some of this with them at all times. That's just my opinion. I'm going to put this right over top of my face so you guys can see it. How about that? All right. See that? Now, there's delivery instructions and stuff on here. The pharmacist will actually show you how to use it. A lot of pharmacies give this stuff out for free. Where I live, there's a needle exchange program, which I'll talk about that just for a second. Out of all the counties in my state, only 11 counties have a needle exchange program. Anybody see a problem with that? Why would you not want to have clean needles? You know what I mean? Because, like most of us here, we know that it ain't going to matter if that needle's clean or not. If you're in addiction, you're going to do what you have to do. You're going to use toilet water. You're going to use creek water. You're going to use whatever you can find to get you to not be sick. And all of us know that. And unfortunately, people that haven't been through an addiction, they can't understand that. They can't see why it's like that. So that's why this gets pushed back. Okay? And I'm not going to sit here and try to say that it's not legitimate pushback, because at some level it kind of is. Right? But what's better? That's what we have to weigh out. What's better? What's worse? What should we be doing? We're going to be talking about like safe injecting sites also here in the future. That's a really, really controversial subject. Okay? And a safe injecting site is nothing more than a place for people that do intravenous drugs. They go there, and there's nurses and stuff there. They can't give them their medication or their drug, but they can sit there. They can give them a needle. They can be there when they administer the drug to themselves in case they overdose. That's the point of that, right? Is to keep people alive. Now, I know that there's a whole lot of issues with that. I'm not going to get into all the political stuff and all the bringing this to my neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that this is a subject that we're going to probably venture into later on. Not right now, because it's a big controversial subject. Canada, Chris, if Chris is still in here, he knows that there's quite a few of them up there right now. They just put some in New York, and again, they were around farmers. They put one next to a farmer's market. Man, I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to say one way or the other here because I haven't done no research enough on that to be able to speak to it. Okay, but that is what's actually happening right now. And unfortunately, that's what we're living in, right? And again, I have to say, I mean, we have to be aware of this, and the more we're aware, the better we can prepare, and the more that we can, head this stuff off at the pass. You know what I mean? And that's exactly why we're not only here to help you guys that are in addiction, right? What's going to fix this crisis, this opiate crisis at its main level, it's going to be with our next generation. This is where it's going to have to be fixed, right? If we can get our kids and our kids' kids to think the right way about things, or at least address them, then the root of it is getting fixed. And there's a lot of stuff here where how do these things get into our country to begin with? We already know that. The beast from the east, the big red machine, we know where that's coming from, right? It's coming straight through our southern door, I guess I'll call it, because if I say that word, the algorithm doesn't like it. But just know that that's what's happening. And me and Tommy have talked about that. We did a video on that, guys. Go watch it, please. It's got the big red flag right on it. Okay? Go watch that one. It's pretty good stuff. And also, I had somebody reach out to me and was asking me some questions about, I talked about my suicide attempt. And back, that was right at the beginning of my addiction, I think. I didn't even know I was addicted at the time. But go back and watch that one too. If you want to know my story, how I became addicted, there's 2 videos not too far back also. Go check those out. Go check out all the videos we got, guys. The best thing you guys can do to help this channel, number 1, is to show up. And I appreciate you guys. I really honestly do. You guys don't have to be here, and you choose to be here. And I can't tell you how me and Tommy are humbled by that. And I do respect each and every one of you guys, because all you guys are going through different stuff, but the same stuff all at the same time, right? And I hope you guys, and I see you guys doing it for each other in the chat. Okay. And, and like I said, guys, that's why, we tend to veer away from all the political stuff. We had one video there where we talked about it, and we told you guys at the beginning that we were going to go political for that one video. And the reason why we do that is because we don't care what anybody's political leanings are. We want everybody to be sober. And we want everybody's kids to be good. Everybody's family to be good. So when a channel like what we do, if we go one way or the other and start doing all that kind of stuff, we're kind of isolating some people from that, and we don't want to do that. So, because we love everybody. We might not agree on everything, but we still love each other. But, like Tommy and me have said prior to, when it starts crossing over into what we're talking about, which it did when we were talking about that, that's when we addressed it. Okay? So that's when we talk about it. Now, we're not, like I said, none of us care what the political leanings of anybody are. We really don't. We're here to talk about, our addictions and how we get past that. And it starts right here with you. Okay? And then you get into stuff like what Steve does. You guys want to know how to take it to the next level? Go talk to Seventh Son. He'll tell you. You can. There's stuff that that can be done, at least to where they're going to be forced to look at what you're saying. Okay? But I know we're at the top of the hour, guys. I do appreciate you guys. I'm sorry that if this was not as concise and as put together as what it typically would be. It's just, situations happen, guys. And And to be frank with you, somebody's health, stuff like that, that all comes first. Okay. And I'm never not going to not be here for Tommy and not be here for you guys. So just know that. If we're, you know, there's times I can't be here. You guys have seen that. So just pray for Tommy and his mom. I'm sure he'll be back tomorrow. But yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing. And thanks, guys. For anybody, please like and share this. Okay, share all of it, please. There's a lot of subject matter that we talked about that can be shared on your Facebook that wouldn't even, because I know sometimes sharing these things it's kind of hard. You know what I mean? To all your whole Facebook family or whatever. But try not to, I guess, feel like you can't. So if less controversial subjects, we got videos on that kind of stuff too. Go back and find one, share it, but please share this one. Just let everybody know that this is all about love and getting better. That's really all you have to say, because it's what it is. And we're going to be here for each other. We're going to listen. We're going to, when you walk through the door, your family. And I know that not only have we said that, but we followed through with that. Okay, you're going to get a lot of people go out there and say, hey, fam this and fam that, and hey, we're family. And then when they click end stream, that's it for them. That's it for them. I've had that happen to me. So what I'm saying is, we don't do that. We got emails. We got Facebook group. Everybody knows where all that stuff's at. Description box. And thanks to everybody, all the new guys in here today. I'm glad to see everybody here. I want to say hi to Nicole again. Like the new name, by the way. Middle Grace, thank you for coming in here and sharing. Virginia, Charlie, Ugly Hobo, thank you for being here, guys. By the way, that's one of my favorite names on YouTube right now, Ugly Hobo. I don't think you could have come up with a better one than that. But anyway, Full of Hope, Leisure, Stacy, anybody else I missed, Trish, Virginia, Charlie, Summer, Joanna, love all you guys. So anyway, guys, I am going to bolt out of here. To all the mothers out there, hope you guys have a good Mother's Day tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow with the live stream at 9 o'clock. Somebody will be here. If it ain't both of us, it'll be at least one of us. So anyway, guys, God bless. And you got one mission, right? Look to your right there on the screen. Go out and save somebody. And yeah, I don't have a cat in a basket, like I said, but what do I got? I got a color changing R2D2. How about that? Does that work? How's that work? All right, guys. God bless.